Have you ever had the one that got away? And no, I'm not talking about a relationship or something like that. I'm talking about fishing. And if you've ever fly fished, it's very possible for that to happen. It is one of the hardest types of fishing out there, but it's also very unique. It requires a different tackle setup than most types of fishing. Has different method to cast the line out to wherever you want it. And overall, it's just more challenging to catch fish when fly fishing. To begin, the tackle differs. It has an unusual rod and reel setup. Rods tend to be about anywhere between 7 and 9.5 feet long, which is many feet longer than your standard fishing pole. There's no button, or also the reel is very different. There's no button or trigger to cast out, and the line that the reel has is not thin little fishing line. It's more of a plastic tube that just floats on top of the water when casted out. Also, when fly fishing, you use different baits. They're normally little flies or jigs that are handmade and tied on a hook using things such as dyed animal furs like bucktail, rabbit skin, and feathers. And between these jigs and flies, some of them either float or sink below the water surface. Next is much harder to cast when fly fishing. You must pull the line from the reel. It's called stripping it. And you have a bunch of excess line at your feet or hanging in the water wherever you're at. And you must have a form to when you cast, because all that excess line, use your wrist to whip the line back and forth and slowly let the line out until it reaches the point to where you want your bait to end up, and then you release it. And it ends up in the hole, in the drift, wherever you need it to be. Also, this makes it much harder to manage. It's easier to get it tangled around your feet, your arms, limbs, pretty much anywhere that you could fish around anything, because there's so much you have to deal with. So that means you must have a lot of space to fly fish. And lastly, it is harder to catch fish when fly fishing. Back to the reel, it is very different from a standard reel. It has the little knob for reeling, but it doesn't have any drag set to help you, to assist you when reeling in line. And many people just pull the line in by hand, which gives the fish more of an advantage because, again, there's no assistance when reeling in a fish when fly fishing. Also, the fish cannot swallow the baits, such as the little flies or jigs, because they're not made to be swallowed. You can only hook them in the lip, anywhere around the lip. So it'll make it easier for the fish to pop the hook or spit it out or get wrapped around something and just slip off. So overall, you lose more fish when fly fishing, but that makes it fun and more challenging. So to conclude, fly fishing is very difficult, but it can also be very fun, even though it's harder to catch fish. You have a different setup, but I choked. That's it.